So I just shot my last project on the Alexa 35, and while I was absolutely blown away by this camera, like the image quality, dynamic range, color science, and just overall ease of use was just amazing to use. And with all that being said, it wasn't necessarily the right tool for the job, and let me explain why.
Today we're at CFE prepping Alexa 35 for a shoot with our boy Matt here. We're trying to make this build as nimble as possible, so we've stripped it down to just the basics. What we have here is, of course, the Alexa 35 body. We're shooting on the Ajnu Easy 2 zoom lens, the 15-40 T2. Misfit Atom matte box, a couple shape handles. As far as our wireless system goes, just a tilt-a nucleus for focus, and Poly Landmarks 400S Pro. It's all sitting on Matt's Sackler FSB6 and Flowtech legs. Just on the cusp of the payload, but we'll make it work. We don't have any crazy moving shots. Everything's going to be either locked off or handheld, so we'll be just fine with this this set of sticks. For my focus tree, we have the good old Small HD 702 Touch monitor paired with obviously the Nucleus hand unit. We have our Hollyland wireless system up top, cables, and a little V-mount plate. I have it all in a system, so that probably won't have a stand on set, so I can pop it off, kind of walk around with Matt and still pull focus and have a feed. This is my EasyRig Vario 5 with the stable G3 arm. Matt's on the small end of this vest. This is the standard size vest. It comes in a smaller size and a bigger size. We have the EasyRig quick release. So now, looks like we have to dial a few things in, put a lot more tension on that string. We do have to lift this kind of up a little bit. Yeah. For me to do the spring tension. So you should be able to kind of like move your body around. Yeah. And have the arm do its thing.
Hop in the airy cherry. I chose this zoom lens because I didn't want to be like switching to primes a bunch, just because like the nature of the shoot. Now we have this huge body. Not regretting it, but I know my body's gonna regret it for sure. Yeah, this is nice. Never used an airy before, and the menus are just like so intuitive and so easy to use. I'm gonna shoot open gate, not really messing with any of the textures. Firstly, if you haven't seen the breakdown for that video, go check it out first. It's for a camping brand called Polar, and I made a video about it, and I've also included the director's treatment as a free PDF, so go and download that as well. I initially wanted to shoot this project on an Alexa Mini, and we started a prep one at the rental house, and we were pretty much done building the rig. We went to turn on the camera, and it just like died on us. The people at the rental house at Canada Film Equipment, they were nice enough to offer to shoot things on Alexa 35. So obviously I'm not gonna turn that down when I have that opportunity given to me. But in the back of my mind, I knew this wasn't gonna be the right tool for the job because of the nature of the shoot. We were gonna be in the woods and doing very run and gun stuff with a skeleton crew, and also me having to wear multiple hats like directing, DPing, and pretty much producing, along with not having been camping before and having to plan a camping trip. So it was sort of a perfect storm in concoction for it being very stressful for me. The Alexa 35 ended up being a bit more of a hindrance than it was a benefit to this production. Here, wait, can we lose the EasyRig actually for this? Speed. When we initially got asked to shoot on the 35, I was more so dazzled by it, and it sort of clouded my judgment on it being the right tool or not for the job. I just thought to myself, I'll just sort of power through, and even though it's not really a run and gun camera, I'll just sort of man up and carry the extra weight because obviously I want to use this camera, but in hindsight that was just not the right move. If you've seen the video by now, then you know it wasn't anything crazy, and I essentially used a sledgehammer in order to crack a nut, and it easily could have been shot on an FX3 or something like that. Honestly, looking back, I probably should have gone with like an FX3 or something. I was offered to shoot on the Airy 35, so I was like, why not?
What'd you say, Matt?
Could have just shot this on an FX3. Especially with the lens choice, I decided to go with, along with the amount of hands we had on set. Like when you're using this camera, you need a first AC, you need a second AC, and in my case, I probably would have benefited from either a DP or a camera operator, just because it was so much to juggle all these different roles. Directing, DPing, and operating isn't an easy task because your attention is stretched across 3 different roles, and when you don't have the proper crew in place to direct talent, find frames, check exposure, charge batteries, dump cards, that's when I started to think to myself, I either need more crew next time or I need to pick the right tools for the job. Because that's what a camera is. It's a tool that needs to tick certain boxes, and the boxes that I needed to tick for this project were good dynamic range because we were going to be in contrasty scenarios, compact enough to be run and gun, fit within my rental budget, and shoot on a zoom lens because I didn't want to have to switch to primes. So that's why I originally landed on the Alexa Mini and the Ingenue 15-40, because it ticked most of those boxes, and I knew even that would be a little bit overkill and a little bit too beefy for this production, but I told myself I wanted to rent an Airy for this because we had a little bit of rental budget, and in hindsight, even that would probably be overkill. Then things changed to the Alexa 35, and before you know it, it's a bigger camera body with bigger cards and bigger batteries, and before you know it, I'm using this full-blown cinema rig for just a simple run and gun shoot, and I knew it was overkill, but I just sort of thought to myself, why not? Along with that, we had to rent one of those big EcoFlow batteries to charge batteries and dump cards because we were going to be in the middle of nowhere with no power. And we ran into more issues with this because the Alexa 35 codecs cards require power in order to dump them. And for some reason, when we plugged them into the EcoFlow, it wasn't allowing us to dump, which meant we didn't have a backup solution on this shoot. So that meant there was all these corners we had to cut in order for us to be able to use this camera for our production, and I don't think that should be the case. Even our wireless system that we use Nick's Hollyland personal transmitter, and he was warning me that there was very bad latency issues and it's hard to pull focus off of. So I sort of just cut corners and didn't rent a Teradek because we were tapped out of our rental budget, and we ended up going with the Hollyland, and we had the latency issues, and then you had to hardwire into the camera. So in hindsight, if I went with a cheaper camera like an FX3, we wouldn't have problems with dumping footage, and we wouldn't have problems with the latency because I would have had more budget to put into a Teradek. But on a positive note, I don't want to sound like a hater because I'm not hating on the camera, I'm hating on my decisions for using the camera. The 17 stops of dynamic range was stupid. There were some shots we were pointed directly into the sky with the sun in the frame, and the way the highlights roll off makes it look like anyone that's using this camera can make it look good because you don't have to be selective with choosing your highlights or your shadows. Even the menu system was the most intuitive menu system I've used on any camera. Everything just feels like where it should be, and I think I watched like 1 or 2 YouTube videos on how to use the menu system, and it just like clicked right away for me. As soon as you turn on the camera, it's just so easy. This is definitely something I'm gonna look out for on my next shoot, like not getting excited about all these fancy tools that will just end up hindering the production. Like I essentially tried to fit a square peg into a round hole. I really think this could have been done on any prosumer camera and gotten us like 95% of the way there. But if you have the proper resources, budget, and crew to be able to use a camera of this caliber, then I think you should be doing that by all means. But I don't think that should be at the expense of cutting corners like I do. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and just choose the right tool for the job. So if you like this video, then check out this one I have queued up about why I still use my C200 in 2024. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more.